Many people assume Deep Impact is just another disaster movie about a comet hitting Earth. The film hides a much deeper message beneath its explosions. The White House panicked 3 weeks before release, fearing it would trigger mass hysteria. NASA vetted every space procedure while Michael Bay was blowing things up next door. Today, we're uncovering 15 hidden truths about Deep Impact, including the lawsuit that almost killed the film, the ending where 90% of humanity dies, and how a 1998 movie accidentally predicted NASA's real planetary defense plan. Let's get into it. 1. The White House panic. 3 weeks before Deep Impact hit theaters, the production received a frantic phone call from Washington. D.C. President Clinton's administration had screened the film and was genuinely concerned. Morgan Freeman's performance as President Beck was too convincing, too realistic.
Direct contact with the Earth.
White House officials feared that if the marketing materials and news broadcast sequences looked too authentic, they could trigger a repeat of the 1938 War of the Worlds radio panic. The studio was forced to digitally alter several news segments in post-production, adding more visible MGM and MSNBC logos to ensure audiences would clearly recognize entertainment rather than emergency broadcast. One of the strangest examples of government intervention in Hollywood filmmaking. It reveals how seriously the Clinton administration took the possibility of public hysteria over apocalyptic scenarios. 2. The NASA versus Michael Bay War. There was an unofficial civil war brewing in Hollywood in 1998. 2 competing comet disaster films, completely opposite approaches. While Michael Bay's Armageddon was blowing things up with zero regard for physics, Deep Impact hired Dr. Eugene Shoemaker, the legendary astronomer who co-discovered the comet that crashed into Jupiter, as their primary scientific consultant. Shoemaker wanted Deep Impact to function as a public service announcement for planetary defense. Every space shuttle procedure, orbital maneuver, and mission protocol was vetted by actual NASA engineers. 100% theoretically possible with existing or near-future technology. The rivalry became a proxy war between scientific accuracy and spectacle. One film chose explosions, the other chose truth. 3. Morgan Freeman's presidential rule. Morgan Freeman was the first black actor to play a sitting U.S. president in a major Hollywood blockbuster. He approached the role with enormous gravitas. This Freeman refused to play typical politician behavior. No glad-handing, no speechifying, no performative emotion. He told director Mimi Leder he would only accept if he could play President Beck as a grandfather to the world. A calm, steady, moral authority who treats the entire human species as his family. This stoic delivery was so effective that many viewers cited Freeman's performance as why the film felt like genuine tragedy rather than typical action movie. His presidential addresses feel like real historical documents. Freeman's restraint elevated the entire film beyond its disaster movie framework. 4. The stolen screenplay lawsuit. Just like Contact before it, Deep Impact faced a brutal plagiarism lawsuit. A screenwriter filed a claim alleging direct ripoff of his original screenplay titled Crisis, pitched to studios years earlier. The lawsuit pointed to unique story elements in both scripts, most notably the ELE acronym and the underground bunker lottery where government randomly selects which citizens survive. He argued these concepts were original to his work. Stolen without credit or compensation, the case was settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. All parties bound by non-disclosure agreements. The settlement cast shadow over the film's massive opening weekend success. Another example of Hollywood's murky ethics around intellectual property and borrowed ideas. 5. T. Leone's real breakdown. To capture raw emotion in the final tsunami scene, T. Leone made an unusual request. She asked that they not show her the digital effects beforehand. During filming, Leone stood on that Virginia beach staring at blank horizon, nothing but blue screen, forcing herself to imagine her own mother's death and the obliteration of everything she loved. The haunting, dead-eyed stare she gives the camera wasn't traditional acting. Crew members reported Leone was in genuine emotional shock that lasted hours after cameras stopped. She had to be escorted off set because she couldn't immediately snap out of the traumatized headspace. One of the most committed and psychologically dangerous performances in disaster film history. 6. The washing machine. Asteroid sound. The low-frequency rumble accompanying the comet wasn't created with synthesizers. Sound designers recorded a heavy-duty industrial washing machine filled with wet sneakers and bricks, then digitally slowed the audio 400% to create an unnaturally deep, weighted sound. The result couldn't just be heard, it could be felt, specifically designed to make theater seats vibrate during space sequences, creating visceral physical experience that communicated the comet's enormous mass and unstoppable momentum. Brilliant practical sound design, creating something more real than any computer-generated effect. One of the reasons the comet feels like genuine physical threat rather than visual effect. 7. 2,100 extras in 100-degree heat. The massive traffic jam showing panicked East Coast evacuation featured over 2,100 extras and 1,500 real cars, filmed on newly completed Florida freeway during record-breaking heat wave. Temperatures on the asphalt exceeded 100 degrees. Thousands of people trapped in stationary vehicles for hours. Several extras were hospitalized for severe heat stroke and dehydration. The production hired dedicated hydration teams, crews walking between cars with industrial water tanks and medical supplies to keep the simulation from becoming real-life medical disaster. One of the most physically punishing large-scale shoots in disaster film history. The genuine discomfort on extras' faces isn't acting. It's real suffering. 8. The missing Elijah Wood scene. Elijah Wood played teenage astronomer Leo Biederman. Though many fans noticed his storyline felt strangely disconnected, almost 20 minutes of his journey was brutally cut for pacing. The deleted sequences included an entire subplot where Leo witnesses complete breakdown of civil society, looting, violence, families turning on each other, collapse of law and order. Studio executives felt showing normal people transforming into monsters, distracted from President Beck's nobility. They wanted optimistic tone even facing extinction. The missing footage would have made Deep Impact significantly darker about human nature. It's been lost to time, never officially released. 9. The digitally removed Twin Towers. In the original 1998 theatrical cut, the tsunami sequence featured prominent shots of the World Trade Center being engulfed by the massive wave. It's a deliberately iconic image communicating scale. If even the Twin Towers could be swept away, nothing was safe. After September 11, 2001, the film was heavily re-edited for television and DVD releases. Most modern versions have shortened those shots or digitally blurred the towers to avoid emotional distress. The original theatrical experience is effectively lost, only viewable on first-generation VHS copies. An entire generation has never seen the movie as originally intended. 10. The suicidal alternate ending. The detail most viewers missed, the original screenplay ended with approximately 90% of humanity dead. Planet uninhabitable. Early drafts didn't end with President Beck's hopeful speech at the rebuilt Capitol. Instead, silent 5-minute montage of frozen Earth in nuclear winter. Implication that few thousand survivors in underground bunkers would eventually run out of breathable air and food, dooming the entire species to slow extinction. Test audiences found this completely unwatchable. People left screenings in tears, depressed and traumatized. The studio panicked, forced the more optimistic rebuilding ending. The original would have made Deep Impact one of the bleakest blockbusters ever released. 11. The Astronaut, Weightless Secret. To simulate zero gravity aboard the Messiah, the production didn't use NASA's Vomit Comet like Apollo 13. Actors were suspended by ultra-thin steel wires digitally painted out frame by frame. The wires were so painful that Robert Duvall could only remain suspended approximately 60 seconds before they cut into his body and cut off circulation. Between takes, the legendary actor had to be lowered into a custom standing chair, supporting his weight while keeping legs elevated to prevent fainting or blood clots. Grueling, physically punishing. but it gave the weightless scenes authentic floating quality that looked more realistic than most CGI. 12. Taught the real comet discovery. The film's opening, teenage amateur astronomer Leo discovers the comet through small telescope at a star party, isn't Hollywood fantasy. It's scientifically accurate. Comet hunter Carolyn Shoemaker confirmed that most major astronomical discoveries are actually made by amateur astronomers with modest equipment, not government agencies or professional observatories. The star party scene was filmed with real astronomy club members. Actors were taught proper telescope etiquette. The nerd talk about magnification and celestial coordinates was vetted by actual astronomers, one of the most respectful and accurate depictions of amateur astronomy ever filmed. It inspired countless young people to take up stargazing. 13. The 18-hour radio silence Deep Impact contains a subtle detail almost no one notices. When the Messiah crew goes on their suicide mission, there's a period of complete radio silence lasting exactly as long as it would take for nuclear shockwave and debris field to clear enough for radio signals to penetrate. Scientists who've analyzed the film point out the precise timing of communications, blackout, and restoration is the most realistic depiction of long-distance space radio communication ever filmed. Most movies ignore radio propagation physics through debris fields and plasma. Deep Impact got it exactly right, a level of attention to detail separating it from typical Hollywood science fiction. 14. The message, hidden in the ending. The detail most people missed during President Beck's final speech at the rebuilt Capitol. The crowd isn't just Americans. Look carefully at the flags and traditional clothing. The director deliberately included representatives from every major nation, people in traditional African, Asian, Middle Eastern, and South American dress standing together. A Carl Sagan-esque cosmic perspective moment. Silent visual confirmation that the comet didn't just unite America, it ended the concept of nations and borders forever. The world shown isn't the United States, it's the beginning of unified Earth where nationalism has been replaced by species-level identity. Incredibly optimistic vision most viewers don't consciously register, but it fundamentally shapes the emotional resolution. 15. The 2026 prediction. The most chilling coincidence, original screenplay drafts set the comet's impact for early 2026. The timeline was shifted for the 1998 release, but the date has taken on eerie significance. Thus, NASA launched the DART mission in 2021 to test the exact kinetic impactor theory shown in the movie, spacecraft deliberately crashing into asteroid to alter its trajectory. Scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory have publicly admitted the split the comet strategy used by the Messiah crew is their current official Plan B if massive extinction-level object is discovered too late. The film's 26-year-old science fiction has become the actual blueprint for human survival. The 2026 date feels less like coincidence, more like prophecy. So if the president announced a lottery for bunker seats, would you try to win? Or stay on the beach with T. Leone and face the end with the people you love? That question is the entire movie. Let me know in the comments which Deep Impact hit hardest. If you want more declassified secrets about the movies that almost wiped us out, hit subscribe. See you in the next one.